been hopefully a very unusual, but definitely a difficult time in the city of our history and for the history of our city and for our citizens. And just in full acknowledgement that many people have had a tough time, and Mother Nature sometimes has some things happen. And so I know there's a resilience in this city, and people are being resilient and helping their neighbors, and I think we're all going to do everything we can. So with that, I want to call us to order and make sure that everyone received a copy of the minutes that were attached to the agenda. And if so, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December meeting? And a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Opposed? If so, you have to edit yourself. As everyone knows, we have at every meeting, we have the opportunity for the public to sign up to make comments that are germane to the matters on our agenda. And today we don't have anyone who has signed up, but I do want to remind us and remind the watching public that they can come and be here in person, and it's great if they sign up before the meeting. When they're here, they can make a public comment up to 2 minutes, and we actually reserve 20 minutes for comments. So please, we welcome those kinds of comments. So I'm going to start with some good news. I want to be sure I put this just right. So that the Greenways in our county are open. None of them are closed. Everyone needs to be careful. And there are a couple of footnotes that I would give, because some things that are considered, or the public may think are greenways, and some of them are, but they are in the middle of some very large, very treed parks. So, for example, I think you saw in the cover story today on the Tennessean that the Warner Parks are closed. So I want you to stay in touch with the Metro Parks website. So please be careful. But the good news is that none of our traditional greenways are closed at this point. So I don't see any change coming up in that. So that is a great piece of good news. Also, other good news, Maury Hill has been re-nominated and reelected in the last month to the commission. And also, I wanted to mention that Olivia Hill, the vice mayor, has appointed her as at-large member of our commission, and I'm sure she will be at our next meeting. And also, we get to have one other member of the council, who's another ex officio non-voting member, and those nominations are due to council on the 17th of February, with the election March 3rd. So by the time we have our April meeting, we will be in full force. So, there's other good news that you will hear as we go through this meeting. But I wanted really to start this meeting. We have a great full agenda of information and catch up, but I just wanted to start it with, we all know, and it's a great thing, that we are in a period of transition. And great in the sense that transitions always give you a chance to rethink and be thinking. And I know, knowing the members of this commission as I do. I'm sure that everyone's been thinking about that. We have a fantastic new head of our support nonprofit, Greenways for Nashville, and you'll be hearing from Meg Morgan, give her sort of first state of the state and look to the future. But we are following, the big transition is the transition that follows the retirement of Cindy Harrison, who has been the Parks Assistant Director for Greenways and Open Space for the last 8 years. And she retired this past month, and we owe her an enormous appreciation for the additions that she made to both our greenways and open spaces during her tenure. And that makes it also a good time in the history of our greenway system to recognize the strong foundation that has been built with this unbelievably popular part of our city, our greenways and open space system. And we have, as that foundation, some 107 plus miles, and it's just a really good time to be thinking about the next phase and chapter of Greenways, especially as we start to do and have started to do more work in urban areas, but thinking about how we move forward. So we're both in a time of transition and a time of continuity. And you're going to hear a lot about that foundation of what we have to continue and build on in what we always do, which is to hear from our representative from the Parks Department. And I want to introduce you to, if you haven't met her before in the past, Amida Chattery. She is the department's senior project manager and planner and our interim representative for the Greenways and Open Space program from Metro Parks. We'll talk, maybe we'll get some comments later. One of the other really good pieces of news is that we have Amida helping us through this transition and carrying basically 2 loads of being the interim for us in the department, and also her regular work, which she will refamiliarize us with. But we also, one of the great pieces of news is that there is a position description for Cindy's position. It's hard to quit calling it Cindy's position, but for the directorship. And so, and I think you all got the link to that and hope you looked at that. But those applications are opened February the 3rd and closed February the 24th. So, and that's obviously this description is online for everyone. And we may, if anyone has any comments, we'll pick that up after a while. But it's great that it's out there that quickly, and I'm sure that we will get great applicants. And so, Amida, will you, as everyone who's familiar with the Greenways Commission knows, we always get an update on where we are, and this is a good time. Sometimes we focus on just a few, but this time, as we start the year, Amida is going to run through where we are in both the capital projects and the private developer projects where they partner, and we partner with them for our progress. Okay. Thank you, Amida.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Jeanie, for the introduction. I am a senior project manager with the Greenways division. I primarily look into the capital projects, the design, construction, management, and the planning associated with those projects, and also help out with the design aspect of the planning, the private partnership projects that we work on. I'll go through the status report for the past year on where we are with those projects. I'll begin with the greenways that are in design or final permitting stages. These are both capital funded projects, and also a few of them are being developed with private partnership. I'll begin with the 440 Greenway from Park Plaza to Centennial Park. That is 0.2 miles. It is the section right outside our door. It will begin at the current terminus of the existing 440 Greenway. So from the existing trailhead, then we will follow along the dog park property and then connect into Centennial Park. It will tie in with the Phase 3 Centennial Park developments there. So there will be a new monument entry wall that we have designed with them. The design, we have 100% CD set on that, so, and it is in the procurement phase right now. Depending on how we get, how this gets advertised and all, we might be looking at 6 to 9 months of construction time after the contractor is on board. It has been funded through construction. The next project is another section of the 440 Greenway, which will connect the Sevier Park. So it will begin at the beginner end, how you see it, at the Sevier Park Community Center. It will connect to the Gale Lane Park. That park was developed by TDOT and transferred to us, and the Greenway therein. So it will connect to the Gale Lane Park. Then it will follow along the interstate. It will be on the bottom side of the interstate, cross underneath the interstate, and then follow along the Battlemont Drive and connect to the Browns Creek Park, which the Browns Creek Park was developed after flood buyout property. So there are just different ways how we have been acquiring land to develop the greenways. So that project also, typically for greenways, we do not, we are allowed to build greenways as long as we are at grade. However, if we are making any changes to the waterways or something, we will require to go for variance and other permitting like other projects. So this project also required us to, there is a boardwalk component on the Browns Creek, which required us to go through the variance process. So we are in the final permitting stages on that. Once we complete that, phase, we should be ready with the 100% CD set, and it should be ready to go for construction by end of this year. The next project is the 7 Mile Creek Greenway. That one is part of the the participatory budget project. It was funded through that process. We are currently in early design stage of that. There are several utility coordinations that need to be done. There are also stakeholders. So currently we have the 7 Mile Creek Greenway from the Whitfield Park, and then it sort of ends in a cul-de-sac along Ellington Agricultural Campus and the Edmondson Pike. So this project will extend from that cul-de-sac, from that terminus, and it will connect to Oakley Drive and the Edmondson Pike intersection. So it will be at grade mostly, and then it will ramp up to the intersection. So there are utilities involved. There is the NDOT coordination that needs to be done. So there are several stakeholders in this project, and we are currently coordinating with them. Next steps we'll continue on this work, and we hope to get it completed and ready for construction also within this year. Next project on the list is the Whites Creek Greenway from Hartman Park to Buena Vista Pike. It is a 1 mile long corridor extension along Tucker Road and across flood buyout property along West Hamilton Avenue to Buena Vista Pike. It includes a pedestrian bridge crossing the Whites Creek, some traffic calming infrastructure, and lighting along Greenway Trail. We are currently in 60% design development stage on this. It is currently funded for the design phase of it. So there are some, we are working on the bridge design. We need some easements on this from Piedmont, so there is coordination with that. There will be permitting involved due to this, and then there is lighting. So we plan to work out on all of these processes for this year. The next project is the Opry Mills Greenway, 1 mile length section that will connect the Cumberland River pedestrian bridge, Cumberland River Greenway, and Stones River Greenway to the Opry Mills campus. We recently got awarded the TAP grant in the amount of 11 million on this. We are currently in the final permitting stages with TDOT on that project. Once we finish with all that paperwork and permitting, we should be able to move into construction. The grant is for a period of 3 years. During construction, we'll require coordination with the Simon Group. The first half mile will be challenging in terms of construction. So once there's a contractor on board, we'll have more idea of the specifics of it.
I can interrupt real quickly. I think it's so unbelievable. This is the largest single grant that the Parks Department has ever received. And that's got to, I'm sure there were great applause when this was announced at Parks, and it's amazing. And one of the great things about it, if I'm not mistaken, is because so much work had to be done for the application itself. When you're talking about this one getting into final permit, so much of the work was, or the initial work was done that isn't in our usual process because it was already done for the application, correct? Okay.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a question about that. The grant requires Metro for 5.5 million match, is that correct?
It does require a match. We have that funding appropriated.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it in the CIB, so I was wondering where the CIB budget. So was that not in the CIB?
I can get back to you on that, whether
Okay.
it was included in that, but we do have the match amount committed to the project.
So that will make the total budget of this, total project budget around like 17 million, is that correct?
Yeah, and once we bid it out, we'll know exactly
Okay.
how much that will be at.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The next project, the Charlotte Corridor Rail with Greenway. The total project will be, when built out, would be 4.5 miles. It's the proposed Greenway route that would tie into the existing, the 440 Greenway, this new connection once that comes in. And then we can use the multimodal corridor, the protected bike lanes on 31st, and then we begin our project, the Charlotte Corridor project along the CCRA rail line. And that would follow the CCRA rail line and connect all the way to Farmers Market. There will be a connection to Frankie Pierce Park and to the other university campus. There could be those connections down the line. So we are still in easement. We are working out the easement agreement with CCRA. So we will keep you posted on how that goes. The next project is the Cumberland River Greenway, the greenway adjacent to the Ascend Amphitheater. So that involves construction of a boardwalk to bypass the amphitheater. So Ryman, they are constructing the boardwalk, and we are excited that that will allow people to keep using the boardwalk during concerts and other events. It is expected to be completed by spring of this year. These projects are being developed with private partnership. The first one is the Ariza Bellevue for the Harpeth River Greenway.
To be sure everybody's clear, the ones we've just gone through are the capital,
Right.
metro capital
That's right.
projects.
Yes.
And obviously some of them have some partnerships in them because the Ryman, people who got the new contract for Ascend, worked this into the way they were. And there's a lot of interest in making sure that that stayed open, and I think that's a great success. So
Yeah.
these are the 10.57 miles that are in some active process. I'm sure there are other things you all have your eyes on, but those are, and so now you're moving to the ones that are in conjunction with the development across the city. And of course, there's certainly partnership work from you all's end to make sure that they're done well and up to what the citizens of our city expect, but they're, so that's what you're moving into
That's
right
what,
now.
yes.
Okay.
And I would also like to add that, yes, that was in partnership with Ryman, but also I would like to note the other partners that we have with Metro and other departments. So the 440 Sevier to Browns Creek, we have a license agreement from TDOT to be able to utilize their land. And there's one partnership there for Opry Mills. We have this grant. A lot of the 7 Mile Creek Greenway, the Hartman, Whites Creek to Hartman to Buena Vista, that connection is on flood buyout property, which is partnership with Metro Water Services. So we have, and then for acquiring the easements and all, we have Metro Legal, who is, always there to help us. This project, the Park Plaza to Centennial Park, we have some portion of it within NDOT's right-of-way, which we are using as, integrating it into the protected greenway. So we have a partnership with them over there. With planning, of course, they have our plan and they help us a lot through all of these processes. So I just wanted to mention that.
I think appreciate that. These are not simple things. We can't do it alone. None of us can. Thank you. Okay, so now if you'll turn to these.
Yes.
Private developments.
Yeah. So the Harpeth River Greenway at Ariza Bellevue, 0.7 miles. Developer is Cypress Brook, and they will fund and build this segment as a condition of their approval. The design is completed. Currently, the easement dedication and land acquisition process is underway, and the final SP approval is ongoing. There are 2 or 3 sections that the Greenway is divided in. So the first section will be open with the phase 1 of the development, which might be in the next 3 years, is what we are anticipating. The next project, the Richland Creek Greenway at Bellamede Village. It's a 0.38 mile section. The developer will construct the greenway from Highway 70 south through the new development along Richland Creek under the White Bridge Road, across the back of the Ingram property, and will connect with the existing trailhead at Old White Bridge. As you know, it was the site of the previous Kroger, which was on the creek. So this has been improved with the design. The design is complete. Easement acquisition is underway, and the greenway will be open when the project is completed. We currently anticipate a 3-year timeline on that project. Pennington Bend Greenway at Cleves Farm, or it's now called the Bend Resort. So it's 1.2 miles. The developer will construct a greenway through the new development along Pennington Bend Road, and it will now terminate at McGavick Pike It is in design and the final SP approval process is ongoing. The development is a mixed-use, high-end RV campsite development. It is 1.3 miles from the Opry, Grand Ole Opry property. Once that is completed, we will have a schedule when their construction is slated to begin. The Osage Arbor at Broadmoor Trail Oriented Development, Phase 1, that is 2.2 miles of greenway in there. That project will include design, construction, and maintenance of the greenway, as well as a permanent greenway easement dedication to Metro. It is currently in design. The final SP approval is ongoing.
How long was that trail, the Broadmoor Trail? It says one,
No, that is Phase 1,
Okay.
and the
It's just
section
0.2
in
miles.
Phase 1 is 0.2 miles.
is there a section that will connect from the Broadmoor development? I think it's Rethink that you're working with, maybe, that will
That's
connect
right.
all the way over to Hart Lane that's in concept right now? There's another development at Hart Lane that Clear Blue Equity, I think, was working on, and I think it's going to connect to the Broadmoor project. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we have the Ben Allen Trail Oriented Development that
Oh, Ben
is just
Yep.
adjacent to, so this is the extent of the trail
Okay.
right now. We have a vision plan for future connections, but currently, we don't have anything that is funded to extend it.
Thank you.
Is there a potential to extend the Opry Mills connection to the Pennington
That
Greenway?
is also part of the vision plan, that it will
Mhm.
connect to the Gleaves Farm
Mhm.
eventually, and the whole loop around Pennington Bend. So it is a future plan at this point, long-range plan.
So
But
when-
that will allow you to go from there, from the Pennington Bend, and how, we have another section that is almost complete on Pennington Bend, which is the Pennington Mills project. So we are working on some projects there, so once we have that whole connection, we'll be able to get to this Opry Mills, cross over to Shelby, and connect all the way down to 440, so.
That's exciting. When you say vision, part of the vision plan, can you describe that a little bit for us?
Of course, the vision plan was included in the Plan to Play 2017 document, which delineates the future long-range corridors. And there were priority corridors that were called out from those. We primarily take that as a basis to work on our projects. And that plan is currently being updated this year. That process is ongoing, and I think they are working on a draft proposal, and once that is ready, there might be a public meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. You gave us a good update on Plan to Play too, so, okay.
These are the greenway segments that are under construction or were opened in 2025. Under construction, we have 5 segments, Cumberland River Greenway segment and Madera Nations. It's a 0.12 mile segment that is slated for completion in early summer. The Nations is sort of the west end of the Cumberland River Greenway. And it will be part of the city central loop in the long term. This Cumberland River Greenway, 900 First Avenue, the Stockyards project, that is a reconstruction of the existing greenway and is slated to open late spring to early summer. The Pennington Bend Greenway, Pennington Mills, this is the one that I referred to earlier. So we are almost complete, some wayfinding signage on that, but that will be completed in spring.
This is the one that's currently blocked off by one way on Stockyard, is that correct?
Yes, that is the Stockyards one, I think.
Okay. It's been quite a problematic for people to navigate around that area.
Mhm.
That, because they have to go under the Second or the Jefferson Street Bridge. That's very unsafe right now because of that one section is closed.
We work with NDOT typically to work about detours when projects are in progress. And I can, discuss this with you
Sure.
after the meeting to
Mhm.
see where we are on that.
Okay,
The River North project, it is on the East Bank side. It is a 0.2 miles. It's almost complete, and it would be ready for opening in early summer. The novel Richland Creek, that is a development. It is close to. I'm going to take out my notes here. But that one is a 0.15 mile length of greenway, and the project has started construction, but the greenway will be opened after the project is completed on that. So,
we're at the river north at Bowline Avenue, just to go back for a second. Where is that?
yes, right next to, it's very close to Topgolf.
Oh, okay, so it's those buildings that are already built, that
Yes,
are on the
and-
river, and that's,
And that whole
Bowline is-
Oracle campus, it's
Yes.
right next to
Yeah.
that. So this will then go on to connect to that Oracle, and then the bridge across, which would be close to the Madeira Germantown.
right, got it.
Do you have any timeline for building the Oracle Bridge?
I do not know that answer.
When,
The Greenways recently opened, like last year, where the Newhoff segment, all of them Cumberland River Greenway segments at Newhoff, Peabody Union, and the Madeira Germantown.
I was trying to remember when we toured the Madeira Germantown project, which was great. Really exciting to see that partnership with that development partner. And I couldn't remember. I know we were looking at a connection south to the Griff, I
That's
think is the
right.
name. Does that have a timeline, that connection? Or that, because that eventually would be the connection to the bridge.
To the
is that
bridge,
correct?
yeah. Well, that connection is part of our priority long-term
Okay.
corridor. It will require a ramp
Mhm.
to access that property and eventually connect to the Taylor Street and the bridge area. So it is part of the priority vision.
But it's not budgeted for, or there's no
Not
there's no
at the
immediate
moment.
plan for it. Okay, thank you.
Acquisition of acres of open space underway. So 25 acres of open space in the bend of the Harpeth River to be donated as part of Ariza Bellevue residential project in Bellevue. The green property acquisition was initiated last year. It is 2.36 acres of historic battlefield adjacent to Fort Negley. And then the 45 acres open space in the bend of Harpeth to be acquired from DDOT, which is currently under lease to Metro. Greenway easement status for 2025, we had easement dedications totaling 1.64 miles that were completed. Easement dedications in approval process with Park Board and Metro Council totaling 1.82 miles. And Greenway easement agreement dedications in progress with property owners are 3.62 miles. So 35 total Greenway easements totaling 7.08 miles in 18 council districts.
Great. That's quite a breadth, and amazing that you have got, you're literate in all of this as you stepped in to be our interim person, but obviously you had your design hands in many of them, but that was great. So I really want to open this up for commissioners for any comments or questions that you didn't interrupt. Or so, and I see a green light on.
Well, first I have a question. I know at the last commission meeting, we were talking about, I think, needing $2.7 million to plan with TDOT and probably NDOT, the rest of the 440 Greenway, the connection from the Gale Park to Elmington Park. Is that in a budget? Are we applying for that in a capital budget allocation so that we can go ahead and get that done, or is there conversation about that continuing?
From what I know, that is definitely a part of the priority corridors. Whether funding has been requested for or not, Monique would be able to answer that, so I have to get with her.
I guess on that vein would Browns Creek connecting 440 Greenway at 8th, would that, and over to Geodis, would that be a priority corridor as well? A priority Greenway corridor at this time?
Well, the City Central Greenway, which includes this, the 440, the remaining 440 section, and the Browns Creek are priority. I think on that one there will be land required as well, but it is part of the priority corridor. I do not have an update on the funding status for that at this point.
That's good to hear. That's such an important corridor because you end up connecting neighborhoods to Geodis for one. It's amazing how many people like to come to the soccer games or other events at Geodis, and giving them alternative modes to get there besides getting in a car, walking down Craighead
I agree.
would be fabulous.
I agree.
So other comments on all the things that you presented?
Yeah, sure. I had another question. You mentioned lighting in a couple places, and what is kind of the current thinking on what parts of greenways are lit, or how we're approaching lighting on greenways and hours? And I realize we're in an interim position too, but kind of curious, you know, it sounds like you are thinking of putting lighting in some greenways.
Sure. So the request came through because of, I think it was in the past few years that the request was made for increased safety and navigation, especially during low light hours, to have the urban greenways be lit. And that is what we are trying to do. So the existing 440 Greenway that currently terminates, that will have lighting added to it as part of when the next section of it goes into construction. So any greenways in urban corridors, we are requiring them to have lighting. For greenways that are in more natural areas, like within Shelby Park and Warner Bros., those areas we will not require lighting. And the fixtures that we have finalized our greenways lighting standards. The fixtures that we have selected are dark sky compliant. And we have recommendations of what lighting levels are expected for different sections of greenways. And that's what we're calling.
I think that's a big deal. I mean, I'm sure folks will be really excited to see some, greater safety, especially when it gets dark at 4:30.
That's
in
right.
the middle of winter.
That is right.
That's good to hear. Have you all, experienced any pushback from neighbors at all about putting lights in these? Or I'd imagine mostly it'd be positive, but curious what the reception's been.
We have lighting incorporated in the 440 from Sevier to Browns Creek, and on the Whites Creek also from Whites Creek to Buena Vista. So we have had several meetings with the neighbors there, focused group meetings with the neighbors to talk about lighting, understand their concerns, and have developed the lighting based on that.
Great, thank you.
I had a question, going back to the Greenway around Ascend Amphitheater, it seems like that's been a problem area. People have complained about it being blocked off. So this would be a solution to that, is that right?
That is right. This will allow it to remain open during concerts, events, so
Set up for events and everything.
Yeah.
Can you, forgive my ignorance, can you tell us exactly where that goes? I'm trying to, just right next to it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's along the cliff. Okay. Got it. All right. And then my next question was the Charlotte corridor there that we're working on easements on. I mean, I know Cindy kept us updated on this too, but I assume easement negotiations are going well. I mean, they're ongoing, I know, but
They are
it's,
ongoing,
it's
yeah.
promising enough that it's on the list and we're still moving forward.
Absolutely, we are hopeful that
Okay.
we will have a positive outcome.
Great.
One more comment. I know that you don't really consider Shelby as an urban greenway, but people do use that to commute, like all the time. And is it possible you can consider putting lighting in Shelby, the main stretch of greenways?
I do not have a ready answer to that right now. We will have to evaluate it. We did do some traffic counts on the greenways in the past year, and maybe that could be something we delve into further this year to see what that looks like. And the main, I think the area where it is with the Shelby Park and the wooded cover out there, so we would have to explore it further to have a determination.
Okay.
I think it gets to an interesting tension that I know you all have seen time and time again is, the issue of greenways is transportation, and especially with commute hours being what they are and daylight hours being the way they are. So, understand there's a real cost. We just priced putting in lights in part of our campus, and I'm still amazed at how much one post in footing and electrical conduit can take. But I appreciate you all thinking, especially with this new era in greenways, in the urban areas and as rural as Shelby feels, it is a real commuting backbone for a lot of East, I think.
Yes. There are people on there at 5:30 all the time,
Yeah.
just trying to come in pitch dark. Yes.
Yeah, I understand, and something we'll take forward and maybe work on, explore this year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very interesting time right now because we've got whatever 107 or 111 miles of greenways out to the edges of Davidson County, but now we're really coming into the core, and it starts creating a different kind of environment where you're going to get more commuting and more connection to some of the incredible bikeways that NDOTs are building. And it's like now is the time, if ever was the time, to have more partnerships with NDOT and Metro Planning and the mayor's office, and maybe even thinking about using some of the funding that might be available through the CHIME funding initiatives to think how we can do this most efficiently and get the best outcomes for people who rever the greenways and want their access to nature and little public parks along the way, but also the bikers that need to commute through the areas and connect to downtown for work. So it is an interesting time, and my feeling is that if any was the time, this is time where we all have to work together, and it's probably a really good point of let's, as we hire a new person and get together, this is the time that we all sort of chime in. So I'm excited about it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Amida. That was very comprehensive and a great way to start sort of where we are and be able to measure as we're moving forward and get updates, and then as we as Plan to Play comes out, and as it's going to be an exciting year. There's no question in my mind. Take a couple of minutes. I don't know if you all had a chance to review the position description, because obviously we don't manage. We're not part of the hiring process. But if things jumped out at you that you wanted to emphasize as from our advisory role, that you wanted to emphasize or point out, or your thoughts about the person who comes in, please speak up. Or okay. Well, it's very comprehensive. It will be some incredible superhuman, but from my standpoint, it really emphasizes a lot of things about thinking about the future that you all have said. So.
Yeah, I do think that we have an opportunity to build sort of this multimodal system where we connect to the sidewalks and bikeways that could be sort of the reversal of a car-centric society for so many years, take some cars off the road, which everybody's concerned about, connect to the priority corridors, and create this network that would be an envy to other cities, which I'd love to see in 10 years. I'd like to see it fast too.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So now we're going to turn to, it's not a special presentation because we always want our head of Greenways for Nashville to make presentations, but this is Meg Morgan, who I think most of you have met before, and we can't tell you how much we welcome you and value the key role that our outside support nonprofit organization plays, and we applaud already the leadership you've been displaying in ways that we can move forward. So will you give us just a tiny bit about your background, and then if we can have your report.
And for your leadership here. And thank you, Amida, for serving in this interim role and for all the updates. So thank you, appreciate it. Meg Morgan, I am the still new, I'm gonna claim it as long as I can, Executive Director of the independent nonprofit Friends Group, Greenways for Nashville. It's been about 5 months that I've been in this role. Previously, I'm a nonprofit lifer. I always have believed in making the world a better place, and I've done that through nonprofit communications and management, and most recently in grassroots advocacy in urban forestry here in Nashville. So very excited for the opportunity here to look ahead and to share a lot of our vision and path for moving forward. But while I have the mic, I do also want to reflect gratitude. We're a 31-year-old nonprofit. It's about as long, I think as long as the Greenways in Metro Division has existed. So that is long and steeped history. And so anything that we are planning and moving forward in now is thanks to that really strong foundation that we have to work from. So I want to reflect gratitude and thank yous to all the work that has come to get us to this point where we are looking forward and looking ahead. So big thanks there. And also wanted to reflect a thank you that Jeanie mentioned at the top of this meeting today, especially to our Metro Parks maintenance team, who has been working incredibly hard, incredibly diligently since the ice storm to get our parks and greenways back open. And it has happened very quickly, and people are really excited that they are back open. So do want to say a very big thank you for the hard work that has taken place there. So thanks. So you all know who we are, but just to have a kind of quick refresher on what Greenways for Nashville is and what we do. We're an independent nonprofit friends group, kind of as mentioned, and our mission is to support, promote, and enhance that Greenways and open space system. Go ahead, Amber. Thank you. What is that in service of and in mission towards? Where it's really something that Nashville craves and that we hear about over and over again, and that is a more connected community. So why are we promoting, supporting, and enhancing this Greenways and open space? It's really in service to a more connected community, and Greenways have the incredible ability to do that, not just because of the physical embodiment of connectivity, actually literally building bridges from one community to another, right? But also the social opportunities Greenways have of bringing us together as a community, enjoying them together, and all the different types of benefits and ways that you can use them, as the commissioners were talking about previously, both as recreation and transportation. So how we are looking to achieve and accomplish this mission of a more connected community, these are the angles that we as Greenways for Nashville are leaning into for 2026, but also for the years beyond. And that is our role as a convener, our role developing advocates, and especially grassroots opportunities for a groundswell of community support for Greenways and open space, and activation, getting people out on the Greenways to experience them so that we are bringing those Greenways enthusiasts up into future ambassador and advocacy roles. So I'll take just a couple minutes to kind of talk through our plans for each one of those bullet points and updates, and want to start with our role at Greenways for Nashville as a convener. We are looking towards expanding our group of core partners in this work to convene all stakeholders who are involved in Greenways. Of course, parks, we're the Friends Group for the Parks Department, so we will always be working really closely with the Parks Department. But as Amida mentioned, there are also developers and others who are contributing towards this mission of this more connected community and this built-out system. So we really see our role as, that kind of independent arm. We have the ability to kind of convene and to kind of expand that core circle of partners and stakeholders. We have kicked that off a little bit already this year by doing some listening sessions for different groups. We have done a couple with the developer community, saying, it is a time of transition and we can look ahead towards the future. As Jeanie was saying, that's always an opportunity to kind of think and assess where we want to go headed forward. So we've already held a couple of those, and we look to also hold listening sessions with other stakeholders and groups as well, so potentially other metro departments who work with Greenways, the community members, and philanthropy as well. So we're looking to really, really kind of expand the core of who we're listening to, and then reporting that back to the Parks Department, to this new assistant director to say, as our role as a convener, here's what we've heard from the community and from these various groups. In the convening space, we will always continue our beloved event. Oh, you can go back one to the pictures. Thanks, Amida. Our Dinner by the Bridge event, this is our 20th anniversary of this event, y'all, in 2026. So that is a pretty big deal, and we do consider that a convening opportunity. That is a time to bring together like-minded individuals who all support the Greenways and love the Greenways system. So these are some pictures from our most recent 2025 Dinner by the Bridge event, which was held at the recently completed Greenway that Amida mentioned at Peabody Union, and is an example of a public-private partnership. We will be continuing this, so you can look for that in September 2026. We don't have a date or a location confirmed just yet, but it will be exciting when we've got it, so hold on. In the advocacy space, one thing that is coming very soon for us and very pretty hot off the presses, you can look for in really just a couple weeks here, is something that we're very, very excited to launch and announce, and that is our advisory network. It's kind of operating like a community board of representatives. So there will be what we call our Greenways connectors. These are individuals who will represent the kind of various major segments of Greenways that currently exist. So a representative from Mill Creek, a representative from Peeler Park, representative from the Cumberland River Greenway, all coming together to really help us guide our future programming. We want everything that we do to be as community-led as possible and to have as much input by the community, so we're really gonna be leaning on this group to kind of help us develop our future programming. What we are planning to come out of that and what we're gonna be asking this advisory network for their support on is creating this ambassadors program that I had kind of mentioned. So teaching people who are interested, what is a Greenway, what exists now, and what's coming up, how can you advocate for what's in development or what could be? So we are excited to have the advisory network kind of be the first step of that community-informed programming, and then have an ambassadors program that will hopefully come out of that. And something that is a core piece of that program that we'll be kind of working on in the background and in tandem is updating the maps on our website. We have some great information about the current system, and we do want to update that to also tell more of the story about how those greenways came to be and how those different segments were built, who were the core partners. So a little bit more of kind of a story map feel to the website and to what's current on the homepage, but also with some new layers and elements to that. So we do also hope to add to that information that is visual about all of what's coming next with Greenways. So all of those incredible updates about everything that is underway that Amida shared, we hope to make public in a way that we get asked about it all the time. What's coming up next? What's the status of the various projects? So we hope to kind of ease the burden and lighten the load of those questions by making that public on the map. And so people can always see what's coming up next and at what stage of development these projects are in. That will also help the ambassadors be the best ambassadors that they can be. The last piece of that is also, we hope to have a piece of that map where people can also submit their ideas for what they might like to see if it's not already on the map or not in development. So that last section is activation, and that is maybe the funnest part, although I'm biased and kind of think all of this is quite fun, but that activation of really getting people out and enjoying the greenways, because once we have people who are out there using them and love them, they are more likely to become those future ambassadors and future advisors and supporters of our work. So how we plan to do this is creating tools and resources for these Greenways enthusiasts to do things on their own or do things in conjunction with our staff to kind of host or co-host events on the Greenways. So we really want to just get people out there, get them enjoying these beloved assets and amenities of our community. That will be a very hyper-local, very grassroots feel, very neighborhood focused. We really want to, again, that goal of connected community, we really see this as a core part of that pillar of our work. As mentioned, the purpose here is, it's fun, it is fun, but it's also about creating these new Greenways lovers who will then hopefully become more and more engaged in our work. So maybe they first attend a neighborhood walk, they meet their neighbors, they learn a little bit more, but then in the future they are perhaps serving as an ambassador, perhaps serving as a future commission member, who knows? So something that we have launched this year in service of this activation element is the Greenways Challenge. So you all have maybe seen this announced, but I'll kind of explain it a little bit more and talk about some of our plans. So this is a challenge to run, walk, ride, or roll all 111-ish miles of Greenways over the course of 2026. So it is a lot to cover. That is pretty ambitious if you are signing up for this challenge to do that. But once you sign up, there's a spot on the Greenways for Nashville website where you can do so. You receive a passport that kind of segments it out into areas that are bite-sized a little bit more and more digestible, and an appendix of information. So you know exactly what trailhead to go to, what address, and then you can check off all of those sections as you go throughout the year. And so
Do you
if you
get
haven't...
bonus points if you go on future Greenways that don't exist?
Ooh, I like the idea. We do have our celebration at the end of the year. We hope to kind of honor the people who completed that. It is on the honor system, but maybe there's a special extra award for the folks who kind of walk those areas to come. I like that. We will be sending monthly missives and updates about group opportunities to help folks complete the challenge. Anyone can participate, anyone can sign up, but it's specifically designed for maybe those sections of Greenways that are far flung and out towards the edges. So hey, come walk, come ride or roll, you know, this section of Greenway with all of us together, or maybe led by the council member. We're looking to host and co-host these events throughout the year. We'll have even more of them once the weather gets a lot nicer. So we are excited about that. And we have almost 400 people who are already signed up for this. So I feel quite confident we'll get to at least 500 by the spring, especially when the weather warms up. But the folks who sign up sooner rather than later have the best chance of getting this done because it is ambitious to do that. And it did want to highlight and call out that of those nearly 400 signups, that 6 council members have decided on their own to register for that. So I do want to highlight that and celebrate that. In the activation space, we're also continuing our beloved longtime event, the Richland Creek Run, also in its 20th year this year. So this is a very big year of anniversaries of beloved longtime events for Greenways for Nashville. Registrations are open now. The race takes place on April 4th, that Saturday morning, and is also, for those who signed up for the challenge, you know, you can cross off Richland Creek Greenway through this event. And so you can get a double win there through that. Just a couple other things that we have planned and going on in 2026 and beyond. So this is just a kind of highlight of other projects and kind of internal operations that we have planned. We will be resuming the trailhead restoration project. We're about 2/3 of the way complete with that, so we still have about 1/3 of those trailheads to go. And that is something that makes a really big facelift difference on the welcoming nature of enjoying these greenways. And so getting to that final third is something that we're really excited about, working with the Metro Parks team to help get those approved and moving along. But that is something that Greenways for Nashville funds and provides the project management support for. We're also looking at, as a board and team, looking at an open space strategy. We talk so much about greenways, and of course we do, because they're beloved and they're very well known. But we're looking at convening our board over the summer to see, you know, what is our kind of flow chart decision making about when an opportunity for land acquisition pops up. How do we say yes to that? What are the priorities kind of following Metro Parks' lead there? This is maybe not exciting to anyone else except for me, but I'm very excited about it internally. We are moving to a cloud-based and more paperless system. Woohoo, everybody, right? Super exciting. So that will also, what is genuinely exciting about that is that it will help us prepare for future capital campaigns and be more ready operationally for kind of larger kind of grant opportunities like state or federal funding. So that will help us get there. And that will also be in service of, the plan to play update was mentioned. So we're also kind of getting operationally ready to, help make these dreams come true. We will also later this year have a new blog on our website where we'll be able to have some of this historical knowledge and some of the storytelling of greenways that have been built, but also talk about more of the process, helping educate the public. How do greenways get built? What is an easement? How does this process work? Having that publicly available and evergreen on the website so that people can reference that at any time. And I think this is mostly the last section, but then I'm happy to answer questions if there's other time here as well. Some other things that we have planned throughout this year and beyond, other events are things that we've got. Continuing our Greenways and IPAs program. That is a cute rhyme, but you do not have to consume an IPA at these events if you don't want to. The purpose of them is to bring people together in a casual setting, to learn more, to invite their friends, no pressure, come and go, learn more about Greenways in a casual setting. We'll be launching some corporate lunch and learn events led by some of our staff members, which will be bringing this kind of information about, again, what is a greenway? What's the system that exists? What's next? How can you advocate to businesses? So that's something I might challenge or invite these commission members to think about. If you would like to bring us on the road to where you work to have this presentation, come find us. You know where to find us. And similarly to both of these ideas already mentioned is also opportunities for more young professionals to get included and brought along in our work. Again, more ambassadors, more advocates. Who is going to be doing all of this work and these very big projects and big ideas that we have for 2026 and beyond? The greatest nonprofit team in all the land. I would like to introduce and reintroduce you to some of our staff. I think you all know our Director of Events and Operations, who served in an interim role for the past year or so, and in a different role before that. Karen Gregg is serving in that role. And then very excited to announce brand new hires as of mid-December and mid-January. Bex Adams and JT Neal. Bex is our Senior Development Manager, working on those corporate lunch and learns that I talked about and our young professionals opportunities, as well as our supporting and cultivating our generous donors that we have to continue this work. So very excited to have Bex along. And JT is our Communications and Outreach Coordinator, who will be helping host and co-host these Greenways Challenge events, launch that new blog on the website, keep you all informed of all the things that are going on in this role. So very, very excited to have a full staff at this point, a mighty squad of 4, and you can look to be hearing from all of us in the future. So thank you, I'm very excited, and yeah, if there's questions, I don't know if there's time, but I'm happy to answer them. Thank you, Jeanie. Thanks, Amida.
We have 90 seconds, no.
I'm curious about the maps. Will you think about, particularly in the urban core, how greenways might intersect with bikeways, for instance, and show where people might have to get off a greenway and get on a bikeway if they're commuting? Good.
From the user perspective, they want the connectivity again, right? So I envision that layer as potentially, you could turn on greenways and then also turn on protected bike lanes so you can see and map out how to get from point A to point B. Yeah.
Well, I should say not a question. I actually have a comment or comments. First, Bex, JT, welcome. Really excited to have you. More hands makes every lift easier, so really excited to see that. Very ambitious amount of outreach and engagement, but I think appropriate. I think there's a lot of people that are going to interact with and engage with greenways in different ways. I think what I saw from the presentation and what you've projected gives ample opportunities. Even with the Greenways Challenge, it allows you to kind of self-govern, kind of honor system, which I think is a great complement to the more programmed events. You know, some people want to experience Greenways in solitude, or in a more relaxed way. And so the Greenways Challenge is a great way for them to challenge themselves to go explore the greenways that they haven't before. And then obviously the programming just allows for people to have a reason, a destination. And that activation, I think, is great. So just wanted to commend, you know, the volume, I think, of opportunities that we're giving the community, because I think that's how you get people aware, and then they start to care. And then, like you said, you know, they'll start to champion Greenways. So just wanted to commend that.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that. And there's opportunities for you as commission members to help amplify and spread the word about this volume of events and opportunities we have going on. Thank you.
I was just a little curious too, you know, we've talked a little bit about, you know, of course, all the multitude of opportunities in construction and even design and programming, and all that takes budget, and Metro is obviously a huge sponsor of that, but a lot of our private sector partners have participated too. I mean, if someone, you know, I mean, it was like, I want to fund the design of the 440 Greenway. Like, what does that look like? Is that something where they, is that roadmap clear? Are there ways that that could be improved to make sure our private sector partnerships are, you know, just, I was just curious, you know, how, coming in pretty recently to the commission, how that works, knowing that that's an important way this system's going to get built out.
Yeah. Chime in here too, Amida, but I'll start just kind of from our perspective. I've expressed excitement for the Plan to Play update and seeing, you know, how can these projects or these plans that might come to us or to the Metro Parks division, Greenways division, how can it support this kind of larger vision? And then with this transition time as well, setting forth a vision from the new executive or from the new assistant director. What is this big thing that we're all shooting for, so that then we can see how these pieces plug in. So I don't know if you have anything you'd want to add to that. That's my current take.
No, I think you're right in that. And from Metro, when I went through a list of partners, I wanted to thank GFN also. You've been great partners for us. And to raising funds, we are, as Metro, we are not allowed to raise funds for projects. Our only way to get land, budget is through the CIB process or through other grants. Otherwise, acquiring land through license agreements or easement or ownership. And so these are the only processes. In addition, friends groups can do fundraising for a certain project, I believe, but these are our options at this point. Jeanie, if that is.
Thanks. It sounds like a lot of opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
tell me about the trailhead restoration work.
I should have included some pictures because there are some very dramatic before and after photos. It is a kind of complete redoing of some of those older wayfinding signs and the benches, and even repainting the things like the trash cans at the top head of many of our greenways, paths and trails. So it's brand new maps designed with a very weatherproof, hardcore material, double-sided in most cases. And some of the ones that we have yet to get to, that third that is still left to be done, the maps are either peeling or they have like tremendous damage or are missing or not there. So they do have a really dramatic effect on the appeal of arriving at a greenway.
That's great. And GFN is, you said, funding.
Correct.
That and project managing or
Yes,
project, okay.
yes. So we work with, we hire an external, the plan is to hire an external, and this is the way it's been done before, project manager to help ease the communication between the design team, who is doing the new updated, easy to read maps, and then also the project management of the construction and actually getting it physically in place. And then we rely on our Metro Parks team to help approve the design and make sure that it's correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take a look when you go out on the Greenway. You will be able to tell the difference between it's and you almost, I don't know, it's like, oh my God, that's not what I used to see, and it's really great. And there many of them are old. I mean, they've been there and they've weathered, and they deserve to match the excellence of our greenways. So that's great. Just so much that you're doing. It's just your energy, and Bex and JT and it's really exciting, I think. I know I can feel the excitement around this commission, and it's just a great partner, great inspiration. So thank you so much to all of you for what you're doing and planning to do. So that's terrific. So
Thank you.
thank you. So, speaking of partners, many of you already know, but we have on our commission as ex officio members a number of departments who are related to Greenways in some way. And so we hope to always have participants here who can catch us up with what's going on in their department that may intersect or does intersect with what we're doing. And today we had two people, one, the representative of the mayor's office, who has been called away by a big boss, let's just put it that way, for a different meeting. So she's a great supporter of us. It's Kendra Abkowitz, and so we're lucky to have her as one of our team. And we also have Donald Anthony, who's our representative from the planning department. And he is with, unless this is different than what I used to know, he is with the community planning section of the department. And they work on building sustainable communities and with neighborhood plans, as well as the implementation. So, and one I will point out for next time, NDOT is going to be appointing someone new to be a representative to us, someone who's new coming with the department, and named Will Ezel. But in the meantime, next time, Marty Sewell will be coming to give a report and conversation with us. So just to give that report. So Donald, it's your show. Thank you so much. We love planning. They are an essential part, and the whole report, the multiple opportunities for partnerships with the developers is one of the, I can't say enough about what that contributes. The city can only come up with so much money to fund these, some of these major capital projects. And this is what the developers are doing to help us fill in the gaps, and with excellence, and many of them undertaking to keep the landscaping up, and for forever. And regardless of who owns that development, it's really I can't say enough about it, but you can see the proof is in the pudding through this period when we haven't been getting significant funds from the city because of important priorities like transportation issues and things. And so anyway, I didn't mean to, but I did want to say, and the planning department is an essential part of our being able to, wouldn't you say, being able to pull this off. The SP process is
Absolutely.
so good.
We need their help.
Yes, thank you. So Donald.
Yeah, I'm pretty fond of the planning department also. Donald Anthony, I manage the community plans section. I do want to introduce Akriti Pokarel, who joined our staff late last summer. Does that sound right? Okay. Akriti just finished her master's in landscape architecture at UT, and we went out and nabbed her very quickly to join our staff. So she's helping us with a lot of stuff.
Welcome to all of us. Thank you. Great.
Okay, so, and I continue to advocate for the probably smallest greenway in the system, which is Crooked Branch up in Lakewood, which I go to all the time, and I'm frequently the only person on the greenway. It's terrific. I do like the solitude, Commissioner Henley. Okay, so I was going to touch on 3 big projects that we're working on, and then happy to answer any questions about any others that I may know about, or to take those questions back and get answers for you. So the first that I've talked about before is the ecological conservation strategy. This project was in the procurement process for many, many, many months. And so my report to you every couple of months was, oh, it's still in procurement and we can't talk a whole lot about it, but now we can. So the purpose of that strategy is going to be to address the pressures of suburbanization and urbanization on sensitive natural systems and landmarks. And so the very specific objectives that were part of the bid process were understanding current ecological conditions, projecting future conservation priorities, creating a comprehensive conservation strategy with implementation toolkit, recommending steps to enhance environmental equity and resiliency. So that project is now out of procurement. We're so happy, and it's actually in the kickoff stage right now. So I can tell you that the lead firm on that, our consulting firm, is called Biohabitats. They are a nationally recognized firm, and they will be utilizing several local partners as sub-consultants in that process as well. They are anticipating getting started with some public engagement probably a little bit later in the spring of this year. So it'll come quickly, and we're looking forward to seeing how that process plays out. Second thing I wanted to tell you about today is the Multimodal Mobility Master Plan, or 3MP. We've talked about that before as well. This is a plan that will sort of unify Metro's various transportation plans and bring them all sort of under one umbrella. The primary outcomes from this plan will be an updated streets plan, an updated project list, and an updated transit plan. And the good thing about this is these are all being done under the same umbrella, the same consultant. There's a core group of us who have been working on this from the beginning, and so all of these plans are actually talking to each other, whereas in the past maybe they were conducted a little bit more in solitude. So there is a heavy focus in this on public transportation, bikeways, pedestrian paths, and tying all of those together. We have, throughout this process, consulted with Greenways, Cindy, I think Logan, even early on, to better understand how Nashvillians use Greenways and what role Greenways can play in the broader transportation network. So starting to think more of Greenways in terms of recreation, yes, but also as an essential part of our transportation system, particularly here in the city's core. So we're continuing work on that streets plan through spring and summer, and we anticipate having a draft of that out. I believe it's like late spring or very early summer, maybe May, sounds right to me. I'll give you a definite date update on that at our next meeting. And then the third thing I wanted to tell you about that I told you about for the first time a year and a half ago is the Cane Ridge Antioch Small Area Study. This study is largely focused on the preservation of natural and historic resources on the Cane Ridge side, and focused more on responsible growth strategies on the Antioch side. We did hold numerous public meetings throughout the entire study area in 2025. Around 200 people ended up participating in that process. And we're hoping to have that study online for public review and comment within the next week or two, actually. So it's a long process that is finally coming to an end, and that's been great to see. Greenways play a particularly important part, especially on the Antioch side, which for us, that in the study at least, that is the east side of I-24, where there are a number of planned greenways and connections that show up on our long-range planning documents. There are also greenways on Cane Ridge side, but on Cane Ridge, we're also emphasizing and relying heavily upon trail connections between among private developments to create some particularly good recreational opportunities for residents down in the Cane Ridge area. So anyway, looking forward to sharing that study and getting it posted for public comment here very, very soon. What else can I tell you about?
Questions, comments? I'm sure there are, if we had another hour, would you like to come and be the main speaker someday and ready to answer every question?
I try to, we're working on like 100 different things, and so I try to narrow it down to 2 or 3, and it's hard to pick, what to bring.
No, this is great.
Just for your information, and maybe you know this, but the Civic Design Center is in their 25th year, and they've got something called the Multimodal Plan of Nashville. Mm-hmm. And they've been thinking about all of this kind of connectivity just from a nonprofit level. And they did host a series, they hosted a charrette type of thing, and they had all these maps on the table, and they had 8 or 9 different community groups led with an incredible bunch of feedback, and everybody was talking about Greenways connectivity, and it might be just useful for you to weigh in with the Gary Gaston and Eric Hoke and see what they've got, because they'll have some really good feedback for you in advance of your multimodal plan.
Thank you. And I know that we have consulted with Eric, but I think that's been a while back, so I'll make sure that we're up to date.
Yes. Ed?
Little fun here. I thought Mark was gonna ask Donald about Oracle's Bridge too. You got out of that one. I do want to ask, and you highlighted, and I look forward to the draft report, but I know with the focus on the Cane Ridge study and having kind of that Antioch and I-24 East perspective, was the global mall site seen as kind of a focal point or an axial point for connectivity, understanding the multitude of ways that could go, I'll just say it that way, but knowing that there's been a strong emphasis for that to be a transit hub or envisioned as such for that segment of our community?
It is, and so what's interesting is our study area, because the global mall study took place just within the last couple of years, our study area is actually from Mount View Road south, and so we're a little bit outside of the global mall area, but it was a major player, like, because we recognize that it is a hub, and so the study, when it gets to you very soon, you get the whole thing in depth with the staff report, does definitely take global mall into account and the importance of it.
Is there any planned greenways or activated riverfront on the east bend and the new stadium development area?
Greenways on East Bank.
So we have that section that is constructed on the 2200 Bow Line, and then it will extend all the way on the Oracle campus. So, and then it connects to the pedestrian bridge. So there's the plan there.
And then southward, right? I mean, there's the PSC and Fallon properties. There are greenway connections planned in those developments as well, or in the SPs for those?
I can share what we have on the East Bank with
That'd be
you.
great.
What about the PSC, the PSC side, they call it the east bend now, right? So,
There was a map on, yesterday, maybe, I don't know whether it was the Nashville Business Journal maybe, but it shows, you know, those maps are all small, but you get a sense that there is a plan, but I think it's maybe a topic that we need to bring up and explore maybe at another commission meeting, because I think it's really hard to nail down unless somebody's got some information that.
And it'll begin to be interesting to see how all of that, if you have a greenway on the entire East Bank and how that connects back to Shelby Bottoms, how it connects to Ellington Parkway Greenway, how it connects back into the communities that already exist, because I know there's some really great plans in the making that will connect maybe Lower Dickerson to Shelby Bottoms, for instance.
Great. Any other questions of Donald while we've got him, or before we move on for a second? That'd be great. Thank you so much, Donald. It's great to have you. So I want to do two things in our last 4 minutes here. One is, I want you all to really think about future agendas or things that you want on our agendas. You know, it's something that we would, you know, certainly, obviously, the agendas are set dominantly by what's happening and by good conversations here, and obviously with the Parks Department to leading and to, I guess, so tell me, just, you know, think about it. I mean, you don't have to say it today, but if you've got some thoughts of things you want to put in our in our group of things that you'd like to see happen, it would be great. And if you don't think about it until afterwards, just, send it to Amrita and we will take a look at the pool of possibilities and timings about them.
Can I make a comment then?
Yeah.
I mean, I think this conversation about fundraising and friend-raising and thinking about both corporate and philanthropic donations and how to work with Metro Parks to receive those monies, I really do think that we have a community that cares and is ready to come in. And I know it's hard to receive right now, but to begin to have the conversations to make it easier for that money to be received and be applied to a city central greenway, for instance, if that's where the money wants to come. And then secondly, how do you recognize those people? And maybe there is a plan, but it'd be really interesting to discuss how do we recognize future donors that are going to give to help create this system in a really tasteful way, and this could be along the greenways, it could be along some of the edges of some of the pocket parks that come, but to think about how we do that with Metro Parks and Greenways for Nashville to make it make it easier for people to give, because people love their greenway system.
Okay. I think a lot of this will come as Meg tees things up and then thinks about the ways that it's, in order to make this successful, we need the help of parks and we need the help of discussions and advice from this commission. So that's only a slight reframing of your question, but it's an important one because, as we heard, there's a lot of ambition, a lot of demand, and whatever we can do to help move the multiple ways that we can get more greenways is going to be essential. Other things, I mean, you don't have to have a well thought through something if they're just things that you really want to come before this. Maury?
Well, yeah, I would say what we were just talking about with the East Bank. I mean, there's Oracle, East Bank, PSC side. I think maybe all of us have been safely assuming there's a good Greenway plan, and it sounds like there is for at least 2 out of those 3. So I want to make sure this body is driving that conversation, or at least a part of it. And then how does it connect beyond PSC? Where does that go?
Okay. We had a great former member of this commission, was Clay Capp, who's one of the council people over there that has some of both of those. So maybe he can come join us, a visiting former member. How about that? Good topic. Any others? So we will continue to, this is so helpful with having planning and making sure that we're very intentional about getting good members there. So, I want to close, and then I really want to call on our vice chair, who's, so good in all of this. Maybe ask you to help close out, but I want to close first by thanking this commission. I think we're really becoming a group that works with each other well, and we're an advisory group, so it's the value of our advice is going to be on the quality of our thinking. So let's do that. And I want to thank Greenways for Nashville. You guys, there's so much energy. It's so directed and so impressive in a short amount of time. Woo! I know there's some great analogy about it, but it's not coming to me. It's like takeoff or something. So, and everybody's perspectives, and we've got such a great collaborative group, and we're going to push collaboration, and we're going to try to model it as we move through this transition and on to even more success for our citizens on Greenways. But really, before Mark, would you like to add anything about the future of this foundation we're going to be building from?
Well, I just want to say I'm really excited right now. I think it's a really interesting time with Meg stepping into her role and some of the support teams and, receiving planning comments. Maybe it'd be nice to hear NDOT and how they maybe have them come to the meetings as well. But with Amrita and your discussion today, I thought it was great. And I loved the commissioner's comments. Everybody's weighing in and showing what we really need to do to make this an incredible system. It just feels creative. It feels like a new day. It feels like we had some really great opportunities to step forward and, possibly engage with our corporate and philanthropic sponsors so that we can make this happen faster. I mean, I think the better and faster that we get this done, the better it's going to be for our community. I do really feel like working in the existing communities in South Nashville and North Nashville and East Nashville is really important because we were here first before the East Bank was conceived, and you want to make sure that we get all the connectivity that we're seeking in all of the neighborhoods where we have the densest population so people get what they're really looking for is connection to neighborhoods and community. And we all know that this system together promotes health and wellness, and it also promotes affordability, affordable living, and that's something that's really important for our citizenry as well. So just great meeting. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Onward and upward. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
Approved. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Good meeting.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.